Tonight, Don Cherry speaks out.
What he regrets after being forced out of Coach's Corner.
I think it was a mistake. I should have said everybody.
His standoff with Sportsnet and how he feels about Hockey Night now. Plus, has Canada outgrown Don Cherry? Our panel weighs in.
Digging in their heels, the Prime Minister meets with his political rivals.
Hundreds of homes burned as fires tear through eastern Australia.
It's very angering and demeaning.
And security checks at the self-checkout. Are you allowed to say no? This is The National. Don Cherry spent his day speaking out about his sudden exit from Hockey Night in Canada. This morning on radio, he was still defiant, unapologetic, but as the day wore on, he wavered in his story, seeming to say he never had a chance to set the record straight.
Yeah, tonight we have more of Cherry's response, and we'll go deeper into the national debate over his fate. But first, here's Devin Heroux with the man all of Canada is talking about.
Hey, nice boy.
A day after being forced out of his job, Don Cherry reflects on what he said and what he might have done differently.
So I think I should have used the word everybody instead of you people. If I had it to do over again, I think I would have used everybody.
He's referring to his comments from Saturday that sparked all of this.
You people love you. They come here, whatever it is. You love our way of life. You love our milk and honey.
The controversial commentator says he was willing to make amends, even go on the air to explain what exactly he meant. But Cherry says he never got that chance.
I had a meeting with Rogers, and it was a pretty good meeting with the two bosses, and I said I'd come on and explain and what I said and how I said it and what I should have said, and that wasn't good enough.
Cherry's firing has ignited a national debate. This petition to get him back on Coach's Corner, nearly 140,000 signatures and climbing.
We want to hear your thoughts on this. Don Cherry thrown out of Coach's Corner.
This CBC Calgary radio show inundated with callers eager to have their say.
He said, "You people." And I think his words were taken a little out of context. He disparaged these people, and I'm not surprised that there was going to be a whole bunch of backlash about this.
At the Hockey Hall of Fame, fans of Don Cherry are still fans.
He's a character. I don't know about the fire, and I don't know much about him other than, hey, I liked him when I saw him on TV.
He really helped me fall in love with the game, and from his outlandish suits to him kind of telling Ron MacLean to shut up, it was just kind of never a dull moment.
Most of the guys that wear them are European or French guys.
The groups that Cherry targeted over the years now happy to see him gone.
So I'll be able now to watch hockey games on the English channel because I won't have to support Don Cherry.
As the debate rages on and Cherry shows some contrition, there's no indication that his exile is anything but final. Devin Heroux, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, many of those people who support Don Cherry have lashed out at his longtime co-host, Ron MacLean. He joined the chorus of criticism the very next day after that final fateful Coach's Corner. But Cherry sees it a bit differently. Here he is speaking with CBC producer Simon Dingley for The Record.
Do you admit mistakes were made here?
Well, I think if you want to say mistakes, I think it was a mistake. But I think the big thing was that I said I should have said everybody.
A lot of people think Canada has changed. Do you agree?
No, I think Canada's in the small cities, it hasn't changed at all. I think maybe in the big cities, it certainly has changed.
Don, what about Ron MacLean's actions in this? How do you feel about that?
I'm very disappointed. I don't want to go into any more than to say I was disappointed. He's still a friend. I still count him as a friend, but I was very disappointed in his declaration on hometown hockey.
Don Cherry made remarks which were hurtful, discriminatory, which were flat out wrong. We at Sportsnet have apologized. It certainly doesn't stand for what Sportsnet or Rogers represents. We know diversity is the strength of the country.
He came to see you yesterday, didn't he?
Yes, he did. I saw him, and I think he felt bad. Well, naturally, he feel bad, and but that's the way it goes. But he's still my friend.
Did he say he was sorry for what he had to say?
No, he just we sort of mused around and all that stuff, and I think, but I know that if he had to do over again, he wouldn't have been quite as hard.
What's in the future for you, sir?
I've never been any offered. Haven't done any offers. I'm just an unemployed guy now, 38 years, I think it was on. So what are you going to do?
And stick around for more on this story, which has really taken on a life of its own. We're going to ask our panel about the harm done and what we should make of today's apology, non-apology. That's coming up.
The Prime Minister announced today that Parliament will resume on December the 5th, but not for long. MPs will break for the holidays just over a week later. Justin Trudeau also held a pair of slightly awkward-looking meetings today with political foes. As David Cochrane tells us, the Liberal minority means the government's long-term health may come down to one thing: building bridges.
It's the new reality of a new minority government.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to sit down with the leader of the official opposition today.
Public attempts to find common ground when common ground may not exist.
This country is more divided than it ever has been.
The meeting was short.
Merci beaucoup tout le monde.
The outcome predictable.
It's up to Justin Trudeau to find common ground to make this parliament last. It's not.
If it was up to Scheer, Trudeau would compromise his priorities on Scheer's terms. There's some agreement on transit and taxes, but there's many things Trudeau simply won't do, such as dismantling Liberal environmental laws.
We've long called for those bills to be repealed.
And then it was rinse and repeat.
It's a pleasure to sit down with Premier Moe.
Another meeting between Trudeau and a Saskatchewan politician, this time the Premier, whose priorities and reaction align broadly with Andrew Scheer's.
Disappointedly, after this meeting here today, what I do see is that we are going to see more of the same from this Prime Minister.
Moe argued his province's rejection of the Liberals should lead to a shelving of the carbon tax in Saskatchewan, at least for a year. But Trudeau didn't budge.
We don't see a commitment with respect to moving forward, putting a pause on our carbon tax, the federally imposed carbon tax on the industries in the province.
Despite the lack of agreement today, senior Liberals say they are not ignoring Western Canada. They insist that they fully intend to appease the concerns being raised by Western Canadians. But they also insist that that is not the same thing as appeasing the concerns of Andrew Scheer and Scott Moe. David Cochrane, CBC News, Ottawa.
And you are looking at Capitol Hill in Washington. Quiet tonight, but tomorrow the world will be watching as televised impeachment hearings begin. So if those hearings were on Donald Trump's mind today, he certainly didn't let on. He was in New York giving a business-as-usual speech to business leaders. But as Susan Ormiston reports, behind the scenes, Republicans and Democrats spent the day strategizing.
A gray day set the stage for this president, with Americans nearly evenly divided over whether he abused his power for personal political gain. And on the eve of public impeachment hearings, it was no drama Donald. In New York, mostly sticking to the script in an hour-long defense of his economic record.
We have delivered on our promises and exceeded our expectations by a very wide margin.
Working in a dig at the Democrats.
Democrats in Washington would rather pursue outrageous hoaxes and delusional witch hunts, which are going absolutely nowhere. Don't worry about it.
Republicans are locking down their impeachment hearing strategy tonight. An internal memo lays it out. Namely, there were no conditions or pressure on Ukraine's president, and that since military assistance was released to Ukraine without any investigations, there was nothing gained. Former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, promoting a new book, said as much.
There was no investigation, and the aid flowed as it was supposed to. So when you look at that situation, it's hard to see where impeachment would qualify for that.
But she shaded her defense of Trump.
It's never a good practice for us to ask a foreign country to investigate an American.
Acting Ambassador to Ukraine Bill Taylor will testify tomorrow, a key witness. So will George Kent, a senior State Department official. Both expected to say Ukraine knew that military aid would be unlocked only if there were political investigations. But will they go further and directly link Trump? Also, will any Republicans be persuaded there was an impeachable abuse of power? So far, President Trump has been able to hold the Republican bloc together. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Washington.
So only 2 U.S. presidents have been impeached. Could there be a third? Later in the program, Paul Hunter takes us through how it works. And a reminder, you can watch the hearings live on CBC News Network tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern.
To Australia, where it's now Wednesday, and hundreds of raging bushfires are threatening part of the country's east, including the area around its biggest city, Sydney. The fires remain out of control, unpredictable, and the damage extensive. More than 300 homes are destroyed, a dozen firefighters injured, and while cooler temperatures did bring some relief, the danger is far from over. Kim Brunhuber shows us why.
Smoke over Sydney Harbour Bridge, a harbinger of the danger fast approaching. A massive brush fire is now within 15 kilometers of downtown Sydney, the city under a catastrophic fire warning for the first time in its history. Fires are burning across the country, scorching land, burning animals. The message from authorities for those in the fire's path: get out, get away.
Complacency kills. We cannot afford for people to be complacent. The fact that the catastrophic rating is there, that's the highest level risk available.
Hundreds of schools have been closed, entire towns have been evacuated.
We didn't have long, but we had just took off in panic. And all these amazing fire people saved my house.
Winds have peaked above 80 kilometers per hour. Temperatures are running into the high 30s. Humidity is as low as 5%.
It's been the second warmest January to October on record for Australia as a whole, and these are records going back 110 years. And the rainfall, and this is really important, the rainfall is the second lowest on record for Australia as a whole.
The forecast, no help. Nothing but above average temperatures and below average rainfall over the next few months. And then, around the corner, summer.
We simply aren't going to get the upper hand on all of these fires.
The Army is mobilizing to help, but still it could be months before these brush fires are under control. The end, they say, is still a long, long way off. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Los Angeles.
A Canadian show jumper has tested positive for a banned substance. That's a cocaine metabolite, putting her team's participation in the 2020 Olympics at risk. The test was conducted during the Pan American Games in Peru this year. And as Lisa Zheng explains, a local tea could be to blame.
22nd in the order for Canada now, Nicole Walker.
They may not have come home with a medal, but it was performances like these at the Pan Am Games in Lima that secured Canada's show jumping team a spot at the Olympics next year.
Time to spare, 75.80 on the clock. The time allowed of 80 seconds for Nicole Walker for Canada.
But the results of a drug test she took there may have jeopardized that. Walker is now provisionally suspended because she tested positive for benzoyl ecgonine, a substance produced when cocaine is metabolized. On social media, Walker wrote, "I do not use illicit drugs ever. I'm always fully aware of the possibility of being tested and would never expose myself to any substance that could test positive." In a statement, her mother, Belinda Stronach, also voiced support, saying, "Nikki has dedicated her whole life to the sport she loves. I'm confident that there is another explanation." The team coach has a theory.
Coca leaf tea is very prevalent in Peru, and it's readily available in most hotels. And I know Nikki's a tea drinker.
Cocaine can be made from coca leaf, and studies have shown drinking coca leaf tea can result in positive drug tests.
She's very upset, disappointed, frustrated by this process.
Equestrian commentator and coach Deanna Phelan says athletes need to be responsible for what they eat and drink.
You have to be skeptical and I guess very well versed in what you need to stay away from and looking at all the ingredients that are in products now.
Walker has appealed her suspension, but if the doping authority upholds the result, the team will no longer qualify for the Olympics.
It's a huge blow to the country for sure.
If that happens, the podium would be 4 more years out of reach. Lisa Zheng, CBC News, Toronto.
More news still ahead on the National. A member of Quebec's National Assembly sparks controversy over her wardrobe. So what is too casual to wear in the provincial legislature?
Plus, we go in depth from a once cherished icon to unemployed. How did Don Cherry fall so fast, so suddenly?
And the day after Remembrance Day, a cenotaph vandalized in downtown Toronto with an apparent reference to Flanders Fields. That story and more. We're back in 2 minutes.
Welcome back. Question: how casual is too casual for the office? A Quebec politician is taking on that question in a big way, sparking angry debate both in and outside the National Assembly for her wardrobe. Alison Northcott explains.
With her T-shirts, toques, and Doc Martens, Catherine Dorion stands out at Quebec's National Assembly. That hoodie she wore last week became the latest flashpoint after other lawmakers complained Dorion left the legislature. I come to do my job, and you tell me that because of what I look like, no, you don't fit in, Dorion said this week on Quebec's popular talk show Tout le monde en parle.
So I'm wearing this hoodie today to show my solidarity with Catherine Dorion and with women in Quebec who find themselves criticized for the way that they dress.
Willie Blome co-organized a social media protest today with the hashtag #MySweatshirt,
I think we see really a pattern of behavior that women are really often taken to task for the way that we dress in a way that's quite aggressive and quite virulent. So really today is about a day of solidarity of women saying we've had enough.
Dorion was elected last year with the left-leaning Quebec Solidaire and has been called out multiple times for her casual clothes.
By wearing a hoodie, she was basically giving a big FU to the Assemblée nationale.
Some see it as a provocative lack of decorum.
The best way to be a victim in Quebec in 2019 is to say, well, they're attacking me because I'm a woman. It has nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman. It has to do everything to do with the fact that she's an MP and she's representing people at the Assemblée nationale.
On Halloween, Dorion posted this photo, sitting on a desk in the Legislative Council chamber, wearing more formal clothing as a costume. But some MNAs found it offensive and complained to the Ethics Commissioner. The blowback has also included this cartoon, and some columnists and a fellow politician suggesting she's putting on a show.
À cause de mon coton ouaté.
Dorion says she'd like her party's policies to get more attention. The National Assembly's dress code is short on specifics. Now some are calling for an update and more guidelines. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Montreal.
All right, let's get to Ian now in our Vancouver National Newsroom. He's watching developing stories for us.
And Adrian, we're going to begin in New Brunswick, where a third case of an exceptionally rare degenerative illness has been diagnosed. Diana Patterson has Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, or CJD. It's a devastating illness that destroys the brain and nervous system. Doctors describe its rarity as 1 in a million, but 2 other New Brunswickers were also recently diagnosed, and all 3 had cataract surgery at Moncton Hospital.
Flabbergasted initially when we saw that we had 3 cases of this rare disease in a small city the size of Moncton.
But health officials studied the 3 cases. They believe it is a coincidental cluster. Improved testing methods are making diagnosis much easier and more frequent. Torontonians reacting with anger and disappointment tonight after someone vandalized that historic cenotaph in front of Old City Hall.
It's disgusting, and the people should be brought to court if they're caught.
I can't believe it. I was here yesterday. There were so many people enjoying this ceremony, and today this.
Some of the words from the poem In Flanders Field were scrawled across the front and back of the structure. Police say they're reviewing security footage in the area. Crews removed the graffiti this afternoon. And a new report is raising alarm about the threat of so-called superbugs to Canadians. The landmark report says bacterial infections resistant to treatment will likely kill some 400,000 Canadians over the next 30 years and cost the economy about $400 billion. The report's authors say a better surveillance system for superbugs is needed, along with more flexible regulations and incentives to promote discovery of new treatments. Doctors in Detroit have revealed they did a double lung transplant on a 17-year-old because of vaping. That's one of the international stories we'll have for you in 20 minutes.
And next on The National, have you ever been stopped on your way out of a Walmart and had your shopping bag checked? Well, you're not alone.
It seems like they're taking the position that everyone is a potential thief.
But do you actually have to let staff take a look through your bags? That's next. Self-checkouts are supposed to make shopping more convenient, but some customers say Walmart has added an extra step, asking people to show their bags and receipts at the exit. And as Jacqueline Hansen explains, it may be a step too far.
Self-checkout is the lane of choice for many, but at Walmart, Penny Rintoul says it makes her feel like a thief.
Not only once, but twice on the self-checkout do they ask you to ensure that you've scanned all your items. But then leaving the store, that loss prevention officer appeared to be checking receipts from everyone.
She complained to Walmart on Twitter, saying, "Your loss prevention measures are now officially over the top and making me reconsider shopping in your stores."
It's very angering and demeaning. It seems like they're taking the position that everyone is a potential thief.
Other shoppers complained online about ramped-up receipt checking as well. One called the process discriminating. Another said she felt like a skis bag being stopped at the door and searched. Walmart responded directly to some of the complaints, saying, "As more of our stores are equipped with self-checkout machines, our associates will check receipts to make sure the transaction went smoothly."
What is someone's rights in that situation?
You can say thanks but no thanks and walk right out.
This lawyer says if shoppers don't agree to a receipt check, employees can't force them.
That's an illegal search, and they are violating the Human Rights Code.
The Canadian Civil Liberties Association says it's launching an investigation into the process of routine security checks.
I'm very skeptical. I'm betting dressed like this, I'm not going to get stopped. Rich people don't get stopped to have their bags checked. That's racial profiling, that's poverty profiling, that's discrimination.
Self-checkouts are creating problems for some retailers. A study in the UK found the new technology can lead to increased theft.
The stores know this, but they still see the labor savings as more than compensating for the increased theft rate.
Still, additional receipt checks may hurt more than they help, according to this security consultant.
It's an annoyance to their customers. It's not doing anything for inventory control. They're not really checking that closely.
Rintoul didn't hear back from Walmart.
They don't care what people are thinking. This is just something that they're going to do.
Walmart didn't respond to our inquiries about shoppers' rights. Instead, it said its policies help the company manage costs and continue to offer low prices. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Mississauga.
And next on The National, in depth on Don Cherry.
I think Canada's in the small cities, it hasn't changed at all. I think maybe in the big cities.
We ask why things went so wrong so fast for Don Cherry and whether what he had to say today changes anything. Our panel is next. We're back in 2 minutes.
Don Cherry, you gotta love him. He's hockey. He has a freedom of speech. Some of the things he shouldn't have said, some of the things he goes overboard about, but that's Don Cherry.
To go on the rant the way in which he did and targeting the people that he targeted, it's not the hockey way.
Don Cherry launched a national argument that is not dying down. In a moment, we'll put this question up for debate. Has Canada outgrown Don Cherry, his vision of hockey and of the country? And what are we to make of what he had to say today? But first, let's go ringside in Cherry City of Mississauga, Ontario, where Katie Nicholson heard from a young, diverse team.
These Pee Wee players should be focused on tonight's game, but something else is on their mind.
Well, honestly, I've been seeing Don Cherry on Hockey Night in Canada where my dad makes me watch it a lot of times.
They're buzzing about Don Cherry's contentious comments and forced departure from Hockey Night in Canada.
I can see why he's saying it. Just maybe don't say it the way he said it. And refuse to apologize to the people who found that offensive.
Guys, listen to me. The team president says this is one of Ontario's most diverse hockey leagues. He thinks most players were not offended and that Cherry's real message got garbled.
People who are making Canada home, and they come from all different places and all different races, are people that we should be, treating the same way. And ultimately, the message of supporting the troops got lost.
Despite that, Cherry still has fans here.
Don Cherry is a very good man. I thought he stated his opinion, which is fine, but I don't think he should have said it on live TV.
He said what he said, and it was on live TV, so he should have expected consequences. Like in school, they always teach you to think before what you say, so he should have thought.
But not everyone is that forgiving.
All I can really say about it was uncalled for. It was strange.
Divisive language sometimes hurts, but do Cherry's words represent this hockey world?
It's not really representative of Canada at all, or hockey, because hockey's supposed to be an inclusive sport.
And maybe that's the takeaway. One rant doesn't really change anything here, where players from many different backgrounds are united in the love of one game. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Mississauga, Ontario.
So look, this is a story where everybody has an opinion, but in all the outrage and indifference, is it possible to separate the man from the moment or his words from his intentions? And does any of that matter if there were real consequences, real harm from what he said? And we've got three very thoughtful people to help us sort through it all. Shireen Ahmed joining us, sports writer, also the co-host of the Burn It All Down podcast. We have Bruce Arthur, sports columnist with the Toronto Star. And to my left, we have Jeff Samet, host of Canada Now on SiriusXM. Hello to all of you. Thanks for being here. I know it's a busy time.
Thank you.
Shireen, maybe I'll start with you. Just generally, kind of how do you see what happened over the last couple of days? How do you look at it?
Well, I mean, if I was going to use one word, it would be gong show. It was really eventful, unsurprising as well. I mean, the series of events that unfolded hurt a lot of people, affected a lot of people, particularly around the time that they happened, and ended up taking over the entire news cycle on Remembrance Day, which is a day we're supposed to inflect and reflect and remember, and that's not what happened.
Right, that is one tragedy of
absolutely
everything that's unfolded.
Yeah.
When you say it hurt a lot of people,
yes.
Can you articulate for me the damage that was done?
Well, I can only speak for myself and my experience. I had two grandfathers that served for the Commonwealth. They served, one for the Royal Indian Army, and the other one was a squadron leader for the Royal Indian Air Force. And then to hear these comments, you really feel like, and this was my interpretation and many Canadians' interpretation of, you people come over here. I'm the daughter of immigrants. I'm the granddaughter of those people that served. One of my grandfathers became a Canadian citizen. So Don Cherry's words were basically interpreted as, and very easily interpreted as intentional, to say, you people come over here and you take our milk and honey. Well, he wasn't responsible for any milk and honey in my family. And quite frankly, dishonoring and erasing the histories that people of immigrant experiences have done, in addition to constantly degrading and erasing the experiences of Indigenous communities and Black communities.
And I mean, that person, a person of that stature on that sort of a program, broadcasting to that many people, that's all part of that package.
It is, and using hockey as a platform, a game that so many people in this country love, that's really part of so many communities around here. And historically, using that as a platform for this kind of rhetoric, no.
But okay, Bruce, let me bring you in here, because I wonder, in your mind, was this an example of Don Cherry crossing a line, or was he left behind in a way? I mean, because let's keep in mind, this is a guy who's been around for a long time. The world has changed under his watch.
Yeah, well, I think the reaction did feel different. Don Cherry went on the Fifth Estate in 1990 and talked to Eric Malling that foreigners were stealing Canadian jobs. He's been complaining about poppies in various forms for 30 years. All of Don Cherry's hits are old hits now, because he's 85 years old.
Yeah.
He has offended people before, but the bigotry of Don Cherry traditionally was hockey bigotry, right? It was chicken Swedes, it was untrustworthy Russians, it was French Canadians. It wasn't just all Canadians, it was French Canadians. It was a very Anglo-Saxon viewpoint of our game and our Canada. And what happened here, there's a relitigation that's attempting to be done. Like, Don's attempting to do it, other people are attempting to do it, in terms of what he said. What he said, as Shireen said, it wasn't just you people.
Right.
It was, you come here, you take our milk and honey. It was dividing Canadians who have come here from somewhere else and who lived here forever. It's the Anglo-Saxon view of Canada. And Don Cherry, you can say a lot of good things about Don over the years. He's done a lot for a lot of people in terms of charity, in terms of kids, in terms of his time. But he preaches to one Canada, and there's more than one.
Jeff, you actually had a chance to speak with Don Cherry, and we have a clip. It's a short clip. Have a listen to this.
I never said immigrants, did I?
No, you didn't say the word. You didn't say the word immigrants. No.
No, I didn't, and I didn't say anything like that. I said you people, and all of a sudden, like I said, it could have been Irish, could have been Scotch, it could have been Welsh, it could have been anything like that. But they jumped on anything very sensitive. And if I had it to do over again, I probably would have said everybody.
So there's the relitigation that Bruce was just talking about, right? And it's a fair point. He didn't just say, you people. It's not just about those two words. He went further than that. He said, you people, you come here. And he talks about our values. In that moment when you were hearing his defense, his justification, his rationale, what was going through your mind?
Well, what I was thinking was this is the first sign of him showing any kind of remorse for what went down. Again, falling short of an apology, which in the end he did not do when I spoke with him. And I wanted to invite him on the show because I'm a fan and I'm a person that I've known him for a long time. I've seen the best of him. Bruce spoke about some of the good that he's done, and he has done a lot of that. But I wanted to bring him on because I was confused by what was said on Saturday night, and I was hurt for all the people that were hurt, and I wanted him to have a chance to explain himself, to really flush this out, and to have the opportunity to advance what he had said to that point to other people. I wanted to have a good, long conversation with him.
Did you buy his explanation, though?
I know where he's coming from, which is not to apologize for him or to accept it, but I know where he's coming from, and I know that he was talking about what he said on Saturday night, and he's saying, I'm not going to apologize for what I said, but I was getting from him that I wish I hadn't said you people. It was a poor choice of words.
Right.
And he wanted another opportunity to go on the air and to talk about it on Hockey Night in Canada, on Coach's Corner. He didn't get that opportunity. He could have had that opportunity if he was going to say the words, I'm sorry. But he didn't want to do that.
And so, so here's the million-dollar question now. If you take all of it together, I mean, what he said in that moment, but also his rationale for why, he misspoke, his remorse, as you put it, and whether that goes far enough is a whole other question.
Oh, totally.
But if you take all of that as a package, does it all cross so clearly into this realm of hateful, harmful things that the only way forward for Rogers was to remove him from the equation?
Well, they obviously felt that way. They felt that it was to a point where they saw the reaction. He said what he said, and if it was merely just a poor choice of words, well, he has to own that, and he did when he spoke to me, again, short of an apology.
Right.
But he did that, and he looked at it and said, hey, I said what I said. If it was a misconstruction of words within a sentence, whatever it was, if that's what it is, that got me in trouble and that got me fired. And he says, this is who I am. This is me. This is part of what I do. And if that's going to be the end, well, that's the end.
But that's owning it. That's not being accountable for his actions. And that's my problem with it. I mean, this wasn't a culmination of just Saturday. This is decades and decades of this man being sexist, misogynic, xenophobic, finally, in front of the national, in front of a national audience. Like, what was it going to take? How far did he have to go? And how many people did he really have to insult for them to pull the plug on him?
There were players, like, this is a smaller version of this, but there have been players in the NHL, Swedish players particularly, who have told people that when Don Cherry was calling Swedes chicken Swedes, they didn't like sending their kids to school.
Yeah.
Right? So they said, like, guys would say over the years, you think he's funny? He's not funny.
No.
He's not funny to us. And Don has always been a conservative in a very conservative sport. He has worried for 30 years and predicted for 30 years that politics would be his downfall. He's known that this was coming. From a Rogers perspective, this was a company that has lost money on the very big hockey deal that they signed with the NHL, that cut an enormous amount of salary this past summer, and that probably didn't mind cutting Don Cherry's salary from a purely bottom line perspective. But from their point of view, Don is 85 years old. Television is a difficult medium for the best of us. It requires enormous mental acuity. You need to be fast. You need to choose your words carefully. Don's political beliefs, expressed with very few reservations over the last 40 years, after he said this on Saturday night, how could you put him on television again? If he wasn't going to go out and say, Not only was I wrong, this is why I was wrong. This is who I hurt, and I understand that. I'm not sure Don understands who he hurt and why.
The irony is Ron MacLean went on to talk about, he quoted an elder in his apology and said, part of the beginning process is acknowledgement. And we're even gotten to the reconciliation part. He's not even ready to apologize for actually hurting Canadians.
Last question for you, Jeff. Do you feel like there is a sense that he may get to that point? Because even over the last few days, it does seem like his position has evolved, changed.
Yeah.
You know, if it's Don Cherry, if it's one of us here, if it's any Canadian that's watching right now, we have to have open ears and open eyes to how people feel about what is said publicly, on a subway, on the street. We have to be sensitive to how each other feels and what is said. And I would like to think that Don is one of those people that is going to reflect and continue to think back on what has happened.
And stop talking.
I feel like he's done that since the weekend. He's spoken to me. I'm sure he's spoken to others as well since then, and even before that. And I've seen him say more and more and more. Whether or not it gets to an apology, I don't know. But then again, if it does get to an apology, would many people believe it's just because he ended up getting fired? I don't know. But I wanted to give him a platform to be heard. I wanted people to more so be able to walk away having heard more of him so that Canadians could hear more of what he had to say and formulate their own opinion.
We got to wrap it there, but guys, this has been helpful and insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much more still ahead on The National, including the Winnipeg Blue Bombers fan who is willing to risk frostbite for the love of his team. So we're talking about Shorts in Winnipeg for almost 20 years. We will try to explain what he's thinking just ahead.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast Front Burner, we dive into an investigation on police officers giving false or misleading testimony in court. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to our national newsroom in Vancouver. Doctors in the United States have performed what they believe is the first ever double lung transplant for a vaping-related illness.
There was an enormous amount of inflammation and scarring, in addition to multiple spots of dead tissue. This is an evil that I haven't faced before.
The 17-year-old patient was initially thought to have pneumonia, but doctors determined the damage was due to vaping. His family allowed the information to be released in hopes it might save lives. In the United States, there have been more than 2,000 cases of lung injuries believed to be related to the use of e-cigarettes. To date, Canada has had 7 confirmed or probable cases. It was another violent day in Hong Kong as police battled protesters outside university campuses. At least one demonstrator fired an arrow at officers. Others threw Molotov cocktails and lit fires, while officers pushed back with tear gas. Hong Kong's leader accused students of being selfish, and police say, quote, the rule of law has been pushed to the brink of total collapse. It comes a day after a demonstrator was shot at close range by police and another man was set on fire, reportedly by some protesters. And Montreal-based Semifo Gold says all medical expenses for survivors of last week's deadly attack in West Africa will be covered by the mining company. Executives of the Quebec gold producer visited the hospital where some of the survivors are recovering. 241 workers were involved in last Wednesday's attack when 5 buses were ambushed in Burkina Faso. 39 people were killed, more than 60 were wounded. Semifo has suspended activities at the mine. More news ahead on The National. For the 3rd time in modern U.S. history, lawmakers are prepared to impeach a president. Paul Hunter takes us through the process, what it takes, and how we got here. That's right after this.
In this building on Washington's Capitol Hill and in this room, a whole new phase of Donald Trump's impeachment inquiry will begin tomorrow. 2 witnesses will testify, each for the 2nd time, but this time will be different. And that is because this time that testimony will happen out in the open and be broadcast live on TV, which means Americans will be able to judge it for themselves. Paul Hunter lays out how we got to this point.
Back in the 70s, deep inside this parking garage near the U.S. Capitol, it was the stuff of political legend. An informant, codenamed Deep Throat, spilled secrets to a reporter right there, and an impeachment process was born.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
Richard Nixon, who'd covered up a politically motivated burglary, resigned before he could be kicked out of office. Years later, Bill Clinton lied about an affair with a White House intern. He was impeached, but kept his job. And now Donald Trump, who say Democrats broke his oath of office this summer, abusing the power of the presidency for his own political gain. It all played out in that now infamous phone call between Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Says Trump,
I had a perfect conversation with the president of Ukraine. Perfect.
But some of the officials listening in said they were stunned by it. Their concerns in the White House spread to the so-called whistleblower, who in turn told authorities. Here's the context. Ukraine, a key U.S. ally and in a war with Russia, needed help. So Congress approved nearly $400 million of military aid. But in mid-July, Trump froze that aid. A week later, the phone call, with a White House summary of it suggesting Trump hints U.S. aid is possible, but he wants a favor, though. An investigation into a Ukrainian energy company, one with Trump rival Joe Biden's son on its board of directors. In testimony behind closed doors, Trump insiders have said, as they understood it, he wanted dirt on a political rival with U.S. aid as leverage. Constitutional law professor Susan Lowe Block has studied impeachment for more than 20 years.
There seems to be, I think, little doubt that if he said to Ukraine, you can only have this money that Congress has allocated, you can only have it if you do something that will help me personally in my next election, then that's an abuse. Even if it's not a crime, it's abuse of the office.
And it's impeachable. It's that simple. Trump insists he merely wanted Ukraine to root out corruption broadly. But there's no evidence of any wrongdoing by the Bidens.
You have abuse of power.
Political scientist and author Tom Nichols, a former Republican, underlines Trump and those who stand with him have hurt this country.
I think it's a really difficult time for Americans, because it's not just a time for choosing about politics. It's a time for choosing about morality and character.
Now a deep dive into all of it, right here for all to see, with the Trump presidency itself in the balance. Paul Hunter, CBC News, Washington.
And next on The National, a moment that's got legs. Really does. Why a Winnipeg CFL fan has gone around in shorts for nearly 20 years. That's next. So it was around minus 10 degrees in Winnipeg today, but this man was wearing shorts because of the Blue Bombers and a bit of an unusual deal he made some 18 years ago. That was a balmy November day in 2001 before the Grey Cup. He joked he would wear shorts until they won. He hasn't worn pants since, but with the Bombers a game away from the Grey Cup final, maybe the pants will be back. The shorts story is our moment.
And somebody said, well, how long are you wearing those shorts? And I said, oh, well, until the Bombers win the Grey Cup. So ever since, I've been in shorts.
I thought it would be over before anything stupid, and it wasn't.
It's not like I'm really outside. If I have to go outside and shovel snow, I'll put long johns on and shorts over top of that.
There are places we can't go to, like a nice restaurant. We have been walking down the street when it's been very cold, and I have a fur coat, and he's in shorts, and people stare, and I just assure them, yes, he's an idiot.
They've let me down too many times to be really excited. I really think that they have a shot at it.
I don't care. Like, I'm beyond caring. I think the neatest thing is all the attention he's gotten for it.
I'll put them on for a day to say that I did, and then I'll go back to wearing shorts anyways.
Wait, did I hear that last part right? Okay. So here's my hope. Maybe he'll put pants on, and then he'll be like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been missing for 18 years. Maybe I'll stick with the pants.
Yeah, for Darla's sake, Darla, we see you. You deserve a medal. But for Darla's sake, please, Blue Bombers, win for her.
Listen, when your wife is on national television and your partner's on national television and she says, when people look at him weirdly, I kind of nod and smile and say, yeah, he's an idiot. That's either the sign of a troubled relationship or a great relationship.
Great
and
love
I think
story.
this is a great relationship,
Yeah.
right? That is the National for Tuesday, November the 12th. Good night.
Good night.